What's up everyone, Joker here, bringing you audio commentary number 12. Today we're going to be taking a look at Apdo, Korean solo queue player. He's going to be playing Kassadin. If you don't know who Apdo is, he's a very infamous player in Korea, mainly for the fact that he was caught elo boosting. He got permabanned from the server. He's banned from playing professionally, at least in Korea. I'm not sure about foreign, but he's banned from playing professionally for I think a year from now, maybe 2. I'm not positive on that, but quite some time. This account that he's playing on, this was one of his last games on it. It got permabanned a few days ago, but he is known, despite all those things, because he was just a dominant solo queue player. He was able to dominate the Korean ladder for a long time, despite not really playing professionally. And he's regarded as the best Kassadin player in Korea. Quite possibly the best in the world. Anyways, he's going to be playing Zed against a Zed. And this is actually CJ Entis Flame on Zed. And Flame, as you may or may not know, is considered one of the best laners in the world. He's held in high regard by a lot of foreign players that have studied his play. And this is a matchup that is a tough one for Kassadin. This is pre-patch 3.13, so Kassadin hasn't been nerfed yet, and Zed hasn't been changed yet. But at the time, obviously, Kassadin has been considered OP for quite some time, but so has Zed for the most part. And Kassadin doesn't tend to do well against AD-based champs, especially high damage ones like Zed, Talon, etc. I'll talk about the matchup a little more in a second, but it's not a favorable matchup for Cass. Take a look at the runes in the Masters real quick. He is running slightly unconventional runes. He's got 9 magic pen reds, that's standard, 9 armor yellows, standard, especially against someone like Zed. He's got 2 AP quints, 1 flat health quint. Not too odd. The health is probably just to let him survive a little bit better early game. That's when this lane is going to be the toughest for Cass. And then he's got 9 scaling AP blues. And I've mentioned in previous commentaries how the Korean mid laners tend to favor these. In this matchup, it makes sense even more so. Obviously, he doesn't need the MR, and Kassadin in general doesn't really need MR because of his passive. Gives a flat percentage reduction to magic damage anyway, so MR isn't quite as valuable as it is on other champs. And of course, against the Zed, he's not going to be taking much magic damage anyway, so he doesn't need the MR blues. And then that would leave him pretty much with the choice between flat AP or scaling AP. And the scaling is just going to be better in the long run. The flat AP would help his early game slightly, but for the most part, Kassadin's early lane against someone like Zed, or pretty much anyone, is going to be about surviving and farming the best he can. A little bit of extra damage isn't going to do much. He's not going to be able to push Zed out of lane unless the Zed severely misplays. So the scaling is going to set him up for a stronger mid game, and that's when Kassadin's going to hit his power spike anyways. So the scaling definitely makes sense there. Mastery-wise, it's a little bit odd that he went 21-0 instead of anything in utility, and the reason he did that is just so he could get this extra 5 armor. In the defensive tree, he also gets a little bit of extra health from the durability, the scaling health, and he gets the 30 flat health, which, when combined with the flat health quint he took, is going to give him a nice extra bit of health early game. Offense-wise, he took a point in the Ignite Mastery. That's standard. Little bit odd he didn't go any in the Sorcery, and the reason for that is Kassadin is going to get pushed into turret, most likely, and these extra points in Butcher are really going to help him last hit under turret. 4 extra damage makes a big difference. Kassadin does have his W to assist with that anyways, but this just helps overall. And then he took 1 point in the Fury, and the reason for that most likely is just because 1% CDR isn't going to do anything. And tiny bit of attack speed makes flash hitting slightly easier. Obviously, whichever he chose between those two wasn't going to make a huge difference. 4 points in the scaling AP, that is pretty normal. Of course, the magic pen. And then he went pretty much the pure damage route. 3 points in havoc, flat AP, his spell sword, which is going to combine nicely with his W active to give him some nice on hit. Scaling magic damage, Archmage just to get those AP totals as high as possible, and then of course Executioner. So, Flash Ignite, that's going to be pretty normal. Some Kassadins prefer Teleport, but Ignite is the stronger laning summoner for sure. Zed went Flash Ignite. Kassadin is starting with a Flask and Potions. Very high sustain start. Another option would have been something like Adorned Shield, but this allows him to harass a little bit more and potentially outplay the Zed. It's going to be hard just because it's a tough matchup. But the Flask allows for more mana regen. And Zed started with Adorned Shield and a Potion. And Adorned Shield is pretty much just the best laning item in any sort of contentious lane between melee champs. Obviously Zed doesn't need mana or anything. And Zed would... he could go something like Dorn's Blade, but that would be a little bit risky. If he took a bad trade or something, he could potentially have to leave lane early, and that would be a big disadvantage to him as the game goes on. So like most Kassadin lanes, the moral of the story is just to try to survive early. Kassadin's a very weak early laner, but as you all know, he gets incredibly strong once he gets his ultimate and gets some mana ramped up. One thing I didn't mention a second ago was he was already pushed into turret, and Kassadin's W, the passive gives him mana regen on auto attacks, and the active gives him a base of 30 damage plus some scaling, additional magic damage to his auto attacks. And what that allows you to do is to last hit the range minions after they take one turret shot. You don't have to pre-hit them or anything like that. You can just simply last hit them after one turret shot, and that makes last hitting as Kassadin under tower a lot easier. Another thing you can do as Kassadin, and should do early in lane, is to not be afraid just to use your Q to secure last hits that would be unsafe to go up in melee. So you see here, despite this being such a bad matchup, he's already kind of taken advantage. And that's because he's been pretty active with harassing, despite this normally not being a lane he could win. He has a lot of mana regen from the Flask, so he's throwing those Qs out there. And Zed just didn't take the best of trades. And Dorn's Shield, while it is a very good item, so a gank coming in, but Kassadin will escape. Zed had just too big of a creep wave, he wasn't able to do much. If Jarvan got to him, he still potentially probably would have forced his flash, just because Jarvan has red. And you see, he still got him pretty low. So a lot of times as Kassadin, you'll kind of get pushed in early, but it's also a nice thing in a way, because you don't really have to worry about getting ganked. Oh, here we go. Lee Sin's coming in. Oh, he actually... Zed avoids the Q. That would have killed him. Kassadin threw the Ignite down, but obviously couldn't chase because he's still pretty low, and Zed could easily kill Kassadin with a spell rotation and a lost hit auto attack. But as I was saying, it is nice not having to worry about getting ganked early, because until Kassadin gets his ultimate, he's not very mobile. And when people just push you in, it makes it a lot safer overall. You're just sitting safely at your turret for the most part. So around the map, while Kassadin's shopping, what do we have? We have Annie with a kill and an assist, Triss with a kill, so it looks like they got a 2 for 2 bot, actually, and then another kill would be Malphite killed Renekton. With Jarvan's help. So pretty standard. Someone died bot, or someone died top and bot traded. So item-wise, Kassadin went with the early tier, and obviously you want to get that tier on cast, you want to get that stacking up. There's some debate between the Rod of Ages plus tier or just a tier. Either way, Kassadin had, yeah, he had just the gold for the tier. He didn't have enough for a catalyst, so the tier is the obvious choice there. One thing to note is he's really squishy right now, and once Zed hits level 6, he'll have pretty high killing potential. Obviously, Cass has some counterplay, but he doesn't have any additional health or anything like that. So Zed did hit 6. That was a really bad Q by Lee Sin. And it looks like they got him. He doesn't have flash. Yep. So that worked well for Kassadin because he hit level 6 first, and he was able to instantly go in and harass the Zed down. And then by the time Zed hit 6, Lee Sin was there ganking. Zed might have been able to win that 1v1, but obviously with Lee there, he just had to try to survive. And they also managed to get a kill on Jarvan, so that's a great start for Cass. The way you have to deal with Cass early is to punish him really hard early in lane, and then just kind of try to hold on and keep him from snowballing. And not only did that early lane go even, but Cass gets a kill and assist right when he returns. So I predict a snowbally game from Cass, but we'll see. So let's see, what did he build? He got 2 amp tomes, and that's it. So there's a few things he could be going for here. Obviously a Seeker's Arm Guard would use 1 amp tome, and that would be a very good item. It's a good item on Cass in general, and it's obviously would be a good item against a very high damage AD based assassin like Zed. So that is one thing. Well, we'll wait for this aggression to die down. Oh, very nice gank by Annie. Support Annie coming in with the stun, and they get the kill. So he could go Seeker's Arm Guard. He could also be like going something crazy like Magi Soul Stealer. It wouldn't shock me. Maybe like one of each. One for each of those, I would guess. Anyways, on that Cass kill, they were able to push down his turret. Nice 4-man tower push, and this kind of just shows you how much different Korean solo queue is from NA. It's almost like a pro game, just how organized they were right there. Objectives are on their mind, but that won't make a huge difference. Blue team is still ahead. Okay, that needs to stop. Blue team is still ahead, and I think Kassadin is still ahead for the most part. It's pretty even, but the fact that he's already even is a good sign, especially after getting a gank from the bot lane. So, still no idea as to what he's going to do with those amp tomes. He might have just been wanting to get some cheap AP, although Blasting Wand would have given him the quick Archangels. We'll see. There's a lot of different ways to build Cass early, just because you're not expected to really be strong, and a lot of your damage just comes from base damages and mana pool, and just your ability to be so mobile. So you'll see a lot of different paths that end up at the same end game Cass build. Ooh, nice. I don't think they're gonna finish that off. Lee Sin's going hard. I think they will. Very nice. Malphite teleported in. Oh. Oh my goodness, that was pretty bad. I don't know what he was thinking. It was a Kassadin, for fuck's sake. Like, he's just it's not worth a flash when he's just gonna rip walk over. So Lee is just beasting it up, but he goes down.
Shut down.
So yeah, My suspicions were correct. He goes with the very freaking early Soul Stealer, and that is just confidence. Pretty much all that is. Obviously, Kassadin's someone that can fill it up pretty damn quick if he gets rolling, but you have to be pretty confident to buy that with only 60 CS at 12-minute mark. It's pretty funny because you'll see the best Korean mid laners buy Soul Stealer. You won't see it anywhere else except for in like bronze. Like the items are similar at the top and the bottom in a weird way. Anyway, Zed was too far pushed up there, and this Lee Sin is beasting it up. But they also had Zyra and the Ezreal. So that's one stack for Cass. Didn't have to do a whole lot for that one. And now it looks like they don't feel like they can win that fight top. They're just roaming around. This game broke lanes really early, and that happened off of that when Annie came in and got the kill on Cass, and they pushed down the mid lane. Games get real weird when that happens. There's not as much of a commitment to the mid laner to stay in lane, and there's other people kind of roaming around. I think, yeah, bottom turret's down for purple as well. So when bot and mid turrets are down like that, you just see a lot of roaming for the most part. I'm not entirely sure why purple would want to start the roaming at this time though. It's not really in their favor in my opinion. Obviously Zed's a very strong global champion, but Kassadin obviously is as well, so not sure that's in their favor. I think they would have been better kind of just staying in lanes and camping the Cass lane, but we'll see. They got the dragon here, and Cass gets jumped on hard. I think he's dead. Yeah, Malphite, who is actually 5-0, didn't notice how fed he was, but they get the jump on Cass. Nice Zyra ult. And I think Malphite should finally go down here. Nice ward jump from Lee, and he gets the shutdown. And he might have this Triss kill as well. Yep, should have that. So Lee Sin has 8 kills at 13 minutes. Jesus. He fought that very well. And I don't think Cass got much for that. Did he get any stacks? I think he's at 0 stacks. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he didn't get any. I don't know if he got an assist. He has 3 assists. I think he had 2 going into that. Not positive. But he's not very stacked up yet. But frankly, it doesn't really matter. It's just kind of a time bomb waiting to go off that energizes. And yeah, he did pick up the arm guard with the other amp tome, so that was the most likely combo that those 2 amp tomes could have turned into. Funny combo, but that's what he has. Tier wise, he's at 300 of 750. Cass doesn't stack a tier all that fast. It's pretty consistent because even when you're not fighting, you are kind of just using mana, rifting around the map, but it's not super quick. The good thing is it allows you to kind of build another item, and the timing. So Lee Sin goes down. Alright, well, another kind of scrappy fight. Purple did win that one, and this game's a lot closer now. And they're going to use the Tibbers to tank the dragon. They should get that, which will put them up about 700-800 gold, although Renekton might have something to say about this adventure. So he could actually tear this up pretty hard. I don't think they can actually finish that safely. Oh, shoot. Malphite is teleporting in, though. So he gets the kill, and he might... Yeah, so that wasn't worth it. but I'm not sure how he could have played it better. They pulled off the dragon smartly to where it wasn't going to kill them, and it wasn't going to get low enough for Renekton to finish it. And with the Malphite coming in, he pretty much, Renekton had to make a choice, and he made probably the best choice, which was to get the free kill and then try to get another kill. So another smooth kill for Lee Sin, and I don't really think Cass can deal with this Malphite yet. Malphite's got a Sunfire already. He doesn't have any MR, and he has a ton of armor, which doesn't help him in that duel, but he just has more levels, and Cass doesn't really do a whole lot quite yet. So another Amp Tome. This one truly baffles me. Maybe Haunting Guise would be my only guess, or save it for his Void Staff. I think it's fair to say at this point that he won't be going for a Rod of Ages. And again, Zed just dies. So after all that crazy roaming, the second he goes back to lanes, Lee Sin again ganks Zed. And that was actually a kill for Cass, so he got some stacks going now. One lesson to learn, might already be known, but if you have a Kassadin on your team and you're jungling, you camp that damn lane. Oh, Lee Sin just got outplayed. Cass meanwhile went on Annie. I'm gonna rewind that a second. So Annie finished off Renekton after Renekton beat Malphite, and then Cass kills Annie. Okay, and Lee Sin actually escaped. Little Pedrotsky from Ezreal, but the auto attack gets the kill. And okay, that's all the fighting. They get the top turret. Let's see, Cass has 1100 gold. So he gets Sork Boots. Amp Tome is still a mystery for now. Magi's wise, he's got 4 stacks, so almost cost effective at 18 minutes. And I have a feeling he's ripe for a snowball. This team doesn't have a whole lot that can deal with him once he really gets rolling. Malphite's not going to do much. Zed is behind just from getting camped. 1 and 5 on Zed, and under 100 CS at 18 minutes, so very behind, especially for this caliber of play. And then you got Jarvan, who obviously can't really lock down Kassadin, who can just Rift Walk out of Cataclysm. The Annie stun is kind of the only thing you really have to worry about. And Trist is good against assassins in general, just because of her her ultimate. But she's gonna have to get that off before the silence hits her from Cass, and that's not exactly easy to do. Not to mention she has to worry about this crazy Lee Sin, who's just on a freaking roll. So that's 11 kills for Lee. And Renekton dove when everyone else was already done fighting. See if Cass can get any cleanup here. I doubt it. He doesn't have any vision. Although if that Annie walks around the corner, she might be in trouble. But he's just gonna push. So Jarvan engages after the turret goes down. Malphite ult's not up. And Cass just waiting for Riftwalk there. One odd thing about Cass is you can't really panic when you're playing him. Like that situation there, he was just standing there, and that was the best choice, just because his Riftwalk cooldown was coming back up, and then he can escape over the wall. But I mean, it does put you in some awkward situations sometimes, where you're kind of just standing next to their team, almost like you're trolling. But in reality, you're better off standing there than walking further into them. So you gotta be patient and wait for that Riftwalk sometimes. And a lot of
A lot of the difference between good cast players and average cast players is your ability to manage your Riftwalk cooldown and be active in fights without dying. Using your flash in the middle of that rotation to buy you kind of a free in and out. You want to skirt around the edges. So you see there, Malphite actually got the flank on Cass, and there he has to use his flash, but it will finish him off. So right there, Cass thought he was at the edge of the fight, but in reality, they came back around, or the other half of their team came around and engaged on him. So Trist is, oh, nice freaking play by Lee. Oh, the dot kills him. And I think Purple can finish this off now. I think Annie should have it. I thought she had red. I think she still has it, but what's Trish's jump cooldown? 5 seconds? Yeah, she'll be down. Ooh, really close to killing Annie. So we got a game after all. Cass coming in for the cleanup. So yeah, he did get a hunting, guys. That was pretty much the only thing that made sense. Gives up on the chase when the arcane barrage doesn't show anything. Not sure why he's going back. Probably just because he doesn't want to be all the way down there. And he probably used a lot of mana. I was too lazy to check, but he probably used a ton of mana trying to catch up to that fight, just because of how much his Riftwalk stacked. So Zed looking to steal blue. And nice job there by Cass. You see there, he hid in the bush and waited patiently for the blue to get low enough. He secured it with his Q, and then he also threw an E out there, which doubled out some damage. And wow, Cass just gets blown up by Annie. So I'm not sure how they win this fight either. Renekton's beasting it up, but he's gonna die. And Trist is a problem now. 11 kills. She only has 119 CS at 23 minutes, but 11 kills. 1200 gold to spend. Gonna finish that Zeal, and then she'll probably get either finish a Phantom Dancer or get some sort of MR. We'll see. What's the stack count? 5. So this is a slow grind on the stacks for Cass. But I mean, he's not too far behind really. I mean, look at Zed, 1 and 7. Cass has 7 assists and 4 kills. Score doesn't look amazing, but he's still relevant. And it's just one good team fight away from him being a monster just because of that much eyes. He's got 1200 gold, and I'm sure his tier's getting fairly close. Yeah, so he'll have that Archangel probably after the next big team fight. And it'll be a Ceres by then, which will give him a lot of extra survivability. So you see Cass is being patient this time. He's hunting down the Annie.
Legendary.
Not sure that's the best use of resources. Well, considering Renekton wasn't with the team either, it was probably foolish for him to try to turn that fight around. But now they're in a position to win it for sure. So as I was saying earlier, the Annie stun was Cass's biggest thing to worry about, and that is gone now. So he gets the Jarvan kill. Trish should be dead. Yep, there's the double, and this will probably, nah, probably not chase that.
So there you go. One good team fight. That was kind of like 2 team fights in one. But Cass has 2,700 gold now and 11 stacks. So that taking time bomb kind of went off. That was just kind of not the best decision making by the purple team. They should have just backed off that. Dragon doesn't mean all that much. So Cass finished his Zanyas, which gives him another kind of a free rotation. Basically the way to look at it is you're going to be doing a ton of damage if you were able to just rift walk in their team aggressively. And at this stage, his items all kind of give him a chance to do that and survive it. The Hourglass is going to let him rift walk in aggressively once and cast the Hourglass, and then his cooldowns, or most of them at least, will be up by the time he comes out of it. His Flash allows him to do it another time. He can rift walk in, flash out. And the Seraph Shield that he'll probably be picking up next will also give him another chance to do that. So at that point, he's pretty much able to go in and out at will. And now Kassadin Rampage 8, 5, and 7. See how quickly things can turn. 13 stacks, I think. Yep, 13 stacks. He's at 330 AP, so nothing crazy AP-wise yet. But he's got a nice balance of survivability and damage. He's got the health from the hunting guys. So it's not an item you see all that often on cast, but it is interesting on this non-Rod of Ages Kassadin build, because you do get some of the health. Obviously you don't get the mana, but you could make the argument that you don't really need any more mana than a fully stacked tier. And the guys gives you a nice solid damage boost, and it gives you a boost on your base damages because of the pen. So you see there, Cass got in a bad spot and he's able to Hourglass out. He might be dead here though, yeah. But I think they spent a little too much killing him. And yeah, Ezreal might have a Quadra here. Zyra gets it. So they used a lot of cooldowns to take out Cass, even despite his nice Hourglass. And pretty much they just used too much to kill him. He was at the point where he was such a pain to deal with that they obviously had to focus him, but spending that much time and energy on Kassadin allowed Ezreal to just kind of free attack throughout the fight. And now Ez should be dead to Zed. He actually would have lived if it wasn't for Jarvan. So they stayed pretty late to get the inhib, and they actually traded 1 for 1, which isn't bad at all. Usually you can see those trades go a lot worse than that. So yeah, we see Cass has that Seraph now, and that's going to give a nice fat shield. How much? 20% of current mana. He's got about 2k, so a little bit under 400, but a 400 damage shield is pretty nice at this point. Like a giant's belt for the most part. Picks up the blue. I really don't know what he'd be getting next. This is kind of a Kassadin build I haven't seen a whole lot of. Similar. I would guess a Void Staff would make the most sense, especially because they do have some nice MR. Not really. Malphite does. Malphite's got the Banshees, but Triss hasn't built any MR yet, which is surprising. And Jarvan has the Locket, but I guess that gets everyone up to pretty decent totals. So with that inhib down, they're pushing one of the side lanes.
Zed is also bottom without any teleport or anything, so they don't have any contention here. This is pretty much free. I don't see them really able to siege very well. There's a lot of strong initiation potential on purple with the Malphite ult, the Jarvan, the Annie Tibbers, AoE. Have to be a little bit smart about it. So there the Annie goes in, and Kassadin absolutely wrecks Annie. She did get her Tibbers off on Ezreal, but her team wasn't around to follow up. I'm not sure why they were so far off. So you see, that wasn't very smart by Zed. He went in with his ult and combo onto Cass, but Cass had Rift Lock up. You usually wouldn't want to do that unless... Yeah, and there you go. There's the cleanup. And I would predict a surrender soon, but we'll see. But yeah, if you're playing Zed against Cass like later in the game like that, you don't want to just ult in on him when he's just standing there, because all he's going to do is Rift Walk away, maybe even silence you, and you're going to get your base damage from your ult, maybe an auto attack, maybe your Blade of the Rune King, but you're not going to be able to cast any abilities, and that's usually not going to be enough to take him down. Zed was thinking, since Cass didn't have Hourglass up, that he would be vulnerable, but he still had his fat Sarah shield, and he still had Rift Walk, so not that that really made any difference. That was probably a frustrating game for Zed. Lee Sin camped Kassadin's lane like a good jungler should. You should always camp your Kassadin lanes, get that shit snowballing. And we just saw kind of how you play Cass. Got caught out a few times more than usual for such a good Cass player, and that's just because they had a ton of lockdown on that team. They had the Malphite, the Jarvan knock up, and just Annie kind of just saved her stun for him every time, which can be really frustrating to deal with. But you saw he kind of had some mediocre mid game, and still ended up swinging the game when he turned that fight around at Dragon, and then finished off that last fight at the inhibitor. So, thanks for watching. That was actually the first Apdo game I've had the pleasure of watching, and I probably will be doing a few more, just because I don't think there will be any way to watch him play for quite a while after that. And I had always heard the hype around him, but hadn't actually seen him play. So maybe the next one or two will be him playing some other champs. And then after that, we'll probably have Season 4, or I guess preseason comms. I'll have some other stuff coming out in the near future dealing with Season 4. Obviously, it's going to be a big change, and there won't be nearly as much value in watching old Season 3 stuff. Like always, subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed the video, and also don't be afraid to send feedback. You can message me, send me an email. There's a ton of champs and a ton of popular players right now, and I pretty much can do a commentary on just about any of them. So if you have someone you really want to see, I'd be happy to find a game and focus on it. I've been doing a lot of mid ones recently just because those are the most interesting to me, and the mid players are kind of the most popular at the moment, or at least the Korean ones. But I'd be willing to do a jungle one, top lane. 81s aren't as fun just because 80 carries don't have too much of an influence in solo queue, but even an 80 carry, just let me know. Shoot me an email. And thanks for watching.